By the way, the really important things of your life are not the things that you can just look up on Google. Do I take this job offer? Google. Do I go and, do I get into this relationship? Google. Is now a good time to have a family? Google. You can't Google the most important questions of your life. And that's what the purpose of these are. The purpose of riddles are, is to help you start to develop the ability to think through things. Ask that question, why do we take this class? What's the purpose of this class? It's not for a better future, to get a job. Those are like just so, like that's like really that's what you sell your time for, to get a better job. You know? It's like there are brighter sides to life than work, and I know this. I know this because I've seen it. And hopefully you can get yourself a job that your job is the brighter side of your life. But how many people do you know that are really like that? But you still hold on to it because things are worth holding on to in life. There's nothing worth holding on to in life, and life itself is not worth holding on to. There's so much out there to encounter and to experience, and it's only because of the roughness of our eyes and the dullness of our imagination and that we fail to see how much is out there to experience. And this is the thing, man. Maybe that's the goal. I read it one time. To die as young as possible, as old as possible. In other words, live as long as you can, but never forget what it's like to have that child wonder.
Think about it. It's like a work the mind.
Yeah, riddles work the mind, jokes make us laugh. And if it's a good joke, it does both. But yeah, riddles are designed to get us to think. And so if I'm asking you, like, why do we have to figure out this riddle? It's not because you need the answer to that specific riddle. It's so that you can develop the skill to be able to just figure things out. It's like, man, remember when you guys first came in here back in July last year? Yeah, you guys were all like this big, all full of wonder and amazement of the world. And now, if you can think back that far. And I asked you at that time, with a quizzical look on my face, why do we do this language arts thing? Why do we bother with this? And I don't know if you can remember that far back, but every desk in here was filled at that time. I had 42 students in here those first couple of weeks. And now you look around and it's like, everybody has gone off. But I was asking that because I want us to really think about why it is that we do it. And you get the stock answers, usually with a dead expression in our eyes. For a better future, to get a job, to have a better life, to make something of ourselves. And then I asked those follow-ups, like, how does this do that, though? And it wasn't just to be difficult, and it wasn't just to be like a 5-year-old. Why? But unless you understand the why of something, then you're not going to want to do it. Like, for example, if I give you a riddle and you get frustrated with it, and I mean, the purpose of the riddle is to help you exercise your mind to get better at figuring things out. If instead you don't figure it out, it just makes you feel stupid. It kind of counteracts, the purpose of the riddle, and that's usually when we just quit, and we're just like, forget it, or we'll start to ask stupid questions like you remember the riddle from the Sphinx? I mentioned it a few weeks ago. What walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, 3 legs in the evening?
Man.
Yeah. Now, if that stumps you, you're like, well, what kind of legs? Well, legs. Yeah, but where are they walking, though? That doesn't matter. Dude, this riddle doesn't make any sense. And you'll find that when you ask people to solve puzzles, sometimes that's how they solve them. Or not even puzzles, but just like ask them questions about things. They'll start asking you questions to repeat what you just said, or they're asking you questions to try to take you off course, and it's just because they don't have an answer. It's giving them time to think. So if you have a reason for something, though, a why, like if you're like, I want to figure this thing out, and have I ever shown you guys the dots on here, the 9 dots connecting it with 4 lines?
9 dots.
No? All right, I'll show this to you, although at the risk of just ending class right now, because that's typically what this does. Imagine that this is like a correct square. All right, so the puzzle is connect all 9 dots without lifting your pen. And you can't go back, you can't backtrack. So you can't go like, it can only be like 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. It has to be boom, 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 boom. Now,
this looks like the passcode pattern for my cousin's phone.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll see those on Androids. Now, when I ask people this, the reason I say this oftentimes ends class is because I'll be sitting here like in 3 minutes saying, and this is the most important thing I can possibly ever teach you. This will solve every problem in your life. And people aren't listening to me. They're like, and then some of you right now are already going on Google, how do I solve this puzzle? Because rather than trying to figure it out, you're going to try to look for the answer. The answer is not the important thing. This is actually an IQ question. So if you take an IQ quiz, well, this used to be on the IQ test because it tests your ability to solve problems quickly. Now, sometimes when I give this thing up here, people will say, wait. So how come some of them are circles with a dot in the middle, and how come some of them are solid? How come some of them look like bombs? Imagine they're all dots, though. Well, can you make them dots? Maybe that would be helpful. No, it wouldn't be helpful. Just in other words, we look for ways to get around it. Now, if you see it for what it is, which is that it's an opportunity to learn how to think, then you'll eventually solve it. But I'll give this, and I've really given this to classes before. I've had people come in like 2 or 3 days later. Is this the solution?
How many lines again?
And then they'll hang on, and then they'll see what I mean? And then they'll go and they'll come back, and then some of you will be like, I got it. And one time I did that, and I said, can I see your phone? No, why? What did they do? They looked up the answer. Because in their mind, it was getting the answer is the important thing. No, anybody can look up. And by the way, the really important things of your life are not the things that you can just look up on Google. Do I take this job offer, Google? Do I go and, do I get into this relationship, Google? Is now a good time to have a family, Google? You can't Google the most important questions of your life. And that's what the purpose of these are. That's what the purpose of riddles are, is to help you start to develop the ability to think through things. Because if you never develop that ability, then you're just kind of winging it in life. And there will be people who will say, oh, that's cool, man, I'll wing it. Okay? If you're highly intelligent, you can figure things out on the fly. If you're not, then you won't be able to. And so if you have a why, you can get by with almost any how. You'll find a how. You'll find a way to get through things if you have a reason for it. That's one of those, as Frankel talks about, it's really important to find a why in life. What's your purpose? What's your meaning for existence? Because if you don't have one, then it's darn near impossible to get through life. And the stronger your why, the more resolve you're going to have behind your how. I have to get through this because I see something really, really important there at the end. And so, going back to when I asked that question, why do we take this class? What's the purpose of this class? It's not for a better future, to get a job. Those are like just so, like that's what you sell your time for, to get a better job. You know, it's like there are brighter sides to life than work, and I know this. I know this because I've seen it. Hopefully, you can get yourself a job that your job is the brighter side of your life. But how many people do you know that are really like that? We're rare, man. If there's one thing I hope that you learn about me as a person anyway, in fact, I'd be happy if it's the only thing you ever learned about me as a person, is that I really, really, really like this job. I dig this job, man. I have not woken up yet in the morning and said, oh, I don't want to go teach today. I wake up tired, I wake up sleepy. Sometimes I don't go to sleep at all and I show up here. But it's never because I just hate being here. It's like, I want to go do this. Why? Because it's what you do. You know, I love doing it. And so if you can get all of those things in alignment, of course, then that's a really good thing. But why study this stuff? If you don't have a reason for studying this stuff, then yeah, no crap, man. You go on ChatGPT. We can be absolutely certain about only things we don't understand. What does this mean? Can I copy this out? Can I change just enough words so that so that they can't prove that I was cheating on stuff? And I've had this already with 4 people today. Just brought them up, and one guy, to his credit, I just asked him, hey, what does such and such mean? And he just looks at it, closes, and goes, I copied it. He walked away. Took him longer to copy it than he copied out 10 entries. And then he stopped a few he goes, I didn't copy all of them. I go, one's enough, bro. He's like, yeah. And he walked away. Took him longer to copy these things. Do I catch all of it? Of course not. But hopefully, at least that's your approach, that understanding. Yeah. But I look at that and I don't think like what did why would you have done that? I know why you did it. It's unfortunate because you missed. I look at that and just think like, man, there's like one dude in your life who's got your back and trusts you for no reason. I have no reason to trust him. You guys have teachers who don't trust you for jack crap? It's like you raise your hand, they're like, what are you doing? I'm raising my hand. Is that really your hand? I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Okay, write down the time you leave. And they'll like look down the hallway to see if you're really headed towards the bathroom. And then you're like, man, why are they always watching me? And you're on your phone using ChatGPT to cheat on your math homework. And then I look at it and just think like, man, it's not even just that you're practicing cheating, it's that you're practicing being dishonest. And you get good at the things you practice. We all get good at the things we practice. You practice swimming, you're gonna get good at swimming. You get good at lying and deceiving and manipulating, especially to yourself. You get good at those things. But some things are more profitable than others. And it's unfortunately, I say this knowing it's not gonna change a single thing about anybody's lives. But also heartbroken because I can look forward and see where it takes you, where it gets you. And how do I know this? I've seen it a million times, not a million. I've seen it thousands, no, I've seen it hundreds of times, to be honest. But then if I ask you, like, so then why are we doing this class? And I bet that those are probably the same folks who go, why do we even need this class? Why are you so certain that you don't need it? How can you possibly know what you don't know? You don't, and you have to have some level of humility to look at yourself and say, I don't know what I don't know. But that's the only way you can be certain, is if you don't actually understand it. Because as soon as you understand some things, you can't be nearly as certain about them. Because you recognize that the more you study things, that there's doubts in everything. And that doesn't mean that therefore you believe in nothing. I really hope that's not the case, that therefore you believe in nothing. Instead, hopefully what it does is it helps you to believe in something, but to know why you believe it, and to hold on to it with a fist, a loose fist, not a tight fist. If you hold on to something with a tight fist, you just white knuckle this thing. That means that nothing can take anything out of your grip. This could be an idea, this can be a person, this can be a feeling. If you hold on to this thing, and the only way you can get this thing out of someone's fist is to break it off, but that part's still jammed inside there, man. That means there's not room for anything else to take its place. There might be something like, I don't care what anybody says, I believe this. Maybe a loose fist, that you hold on to it so it's not easy to take stuff out, but when there's a reason to, you can take it out, replace it with something else, and you hold on to that because it's a better idea. It's a better thing than the previous thing. But again, not so tight that you destroy it, not so loose that anything in the world can come along and pop it out. But you still hold on to it because things are worth holding on to in life. If there's nothing worth holding on to in life, then life itself is not worth holding on to. Yeah. Because the opposite of love is not hate. It's apathy. And so when you look at someone like Basquiat, how would you describe his stuff? Weird. And by the way, yeah, it's hard to describe, man. Street art, sharp edges, And you look at that, and people will look at his stuff and just be like, that's so ugly. Like, why do people look at that? Again, rephrase it. That's so ugly. Why do people look at it? What are they seeing that I'm not seeing? Some people are like this, by the way. Pugs are like this, by the way. They're so ugly that they're cute. We misunderstand their stuff because, or even just that we just don't see it. But there's something that's playing on us in our subconscious. It's warring in our subconscious that we can't take our eyes off of it for some reason. And like a jar of flowers, painting of a jar of flowers, oh, it's pretty. But we're apathetic. We don't like it, we don't hate it, it's just there. And then the really important things of your life are likely not to be the things that smack you over the face, but they're the things that hit you in the back of the head as you're walking down the street on some like Wednesday afternoon. And you're gonna stop and go, wait a second. And you're going to remember some event and go, that's what happened? That's what that meant? Some of you guys will recognize this, by the way. You get like 4 or 5 years down the road and go, wait a second. In my math class, I think they were flirting with me. 5 years later. The things that stick with us, they stay in that subconscious because they let's say infest us, but infect us, maybe, and they stay in there. Yeah. I call it exciting. It's exciting because that means that there's a world of stuff out there to experience, man. You know, as soon as, I think I was saying it in this class a few weeks ago, or maybe it was yesterday. It's hard for me to tell these days. But you're walking down the street, and as soon as you say, I don't know why I said that. You're walking down the street. You don't have to be walking down the street. You can be standing where you are, and just say, I've seen it all. I've seen it all. Once you feel like you've seen it all, man, it's time to get in the box. That's why little kids are so excited, because everything they experience is like the first time they've ever experienced it before, and they get so super excited. They see water at the beach, and they back away like, and they'll look at you like, did you just see that? And the water like comes up and it goes away. And you got somebody who there, maybe like, usually like a middle-aged person who's like, yeah, the water comes up like it does every single day. And then maybe you got some old person who's like, seeing them and like, that's great, look at them. Or like, why are they so amazed by that? Because they know something. There's a reason it's called a second childhood. Because by that time when we say things like, oh, they're so old they just don't care anymore. One of the things that hopefully you get so old about that you don't care about anymore is feeling like you look silly in front of people. Being able to enjoy things. Being able to see things for the first time because you're aware that you don't know everything. Because you recognize, I don't know, maybe you've heard this before, that nobody steps into the same river twice. Because the river has changed, or you have to recognize that you've changed. To sit there and say, I don't know everything, man. What I don't know could fill a library, dude. And what that means is there's a whole, heck, there's a whole city of experiences. Okay, there's classroom, school, city, county, state of experiences out there. There's a whole country, there's a whole world of experiences out there that you have yet to encounter. I've just seen some incredible things just wandering around. What's out there that you haven't seen is just, and then when I get speechless, which is a hard thing to happen to me. Imagine spending as much time reading and studying as I have, and to find myself not able to say words. The whole thing feels like such an incredible waste when measured up against the experiences that you can have. But you have these experiences that just leave you completely speechless, and you can spend the rest of your life trying to convey it to people. But all you can say is, you gotta try it. You gotta be there. You gotta see it. I think I was telling you guys that one time I was wandering around a desert somewhere. I saw the damnedest thing in the world. I saw this thing. It was a creature, I guess, with the body of a lion and the head of a man coming up out of the sand out of nowhere. Right? Now imagine if I was the first person in the world to see this, or the first person maybe in 1,000 years to see this. You're just looking there like, oh, is that it's buried in sand, and you're like, is that a head over there? Coming out of the sand? What's that dude looking at? It's a big giant stone head. And then you dig it out, and of course, what do you find? What am I talking about? You find a sphinx out there. And you're like, what's this thing doing out? What are all those pointy things back there? And you got these pyramids that are out there. That's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. And then you dig it out and you're like, oh, how come that head doesn't fit on that body? And there's a reason that the head doesn't fit on the body. And as soon as you realize that, my God, you start to realize that wasn't the original head. Some pharaoh came along and carved it out to make it look like him. That's why the head's too small for the body. There was originally a lion's head up there. Or maybe it was not a panther, a jackal head, perhaps. We don't know. Why? Because that thing is so ancient that even the Egyptians and the pharaohs, who like to take credit for everything, the pharaohs came along and said, that thing's ancient. Who built that? I don't know. It was here before we got here. That's how old the thing is. where did it come from? I don't know. Now you can approach it, and then you can spend a whole lifetime being enamored of that. And by the way, if you can see pictures of it, it's like, oh cool, statue in the desert. When you go there and you stand there and you're like, wow, no, this is something else, man. You can walk a few hundred yards over in that direction. And if you know much about like Napoleonic history, you can realize, oh, this is where Napoleon's army fought the Mamelukes. And you're like, really? Right here? Yeah. Outnumbered. What was it? 30-1? Like that? And they overcame them after marching 100 miles in the desert, completely dehydrated. And Napoleon gives this incredible speech about fighting in the shadows of the pyramids. I don't know, there's so much out there to encounter and to experience, and it's only because of the roughness of our eyes and the dullness of our imagination and that we fail to see how much is out there to experience. And this is the thing, man. Maybe that's the goal. I read it one time. To die as young as possible, as old as possible. In other words, live as long as you can, but never forget what it's like to have that child wonder. That doesn't mean you live your whole life like a little kid. Nobody wants that. Nobody should want that. We should grow up in really important ways, fulfill responsibilities, doing the right thing. But don't fail to see the incredible, I don't know what word you call it, without it sounding cliche, incredible majesty of life, incredible beauty of life. Just the incredible fact that we exist.